If you want to learn how to actually quantum jump into your dream life, if you want the cutting edge science and all of the wisdom of spirituality combined in one video to teach you how to actually quantum jump into your dream life, shift realities so that you go from someone who is living a life that they're not happy with to someone who is actually jumping in and into a new timeline, the timeline of your dream life, the timeline where your dream life is the reality, then this is the video for you. So good morning, my name is Lisa with Lisa Be Yourself, and if you are excited about this video today, then go ahead and give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, because we are going to go deep today. So let's start by talking about what the quantum field is, because you really can't understand how to jump into it unless you know what it is. So very simply, the quantum field is a field that exists, an energy field. It is basically like an infinite, huge sea, a universal, like as wide as the universe goes. It's an infinite sea of energy and information. So if we were going to draw reality as a circle, and I know it's not a circle, but if we were going to say, this is us and these are all the galaxies and the stars and the sun and, everything coming out here, this basically, as far as the eye can see, every person, every being, every life form on every planet, every star that ever existed throughout time and space, right? So it could be from the past, could be from the future, everything. This is the infinite sea. This universe here is the infinite sea of energy and information. So energy plus information. So this includes everything, right? It includes people, it includes things, matter, like this pen. It includes places, it includes events, it includes anything that happened in the past, it includes anything that you've been able to think of in the future, it includes dreams, it includes all timelines here on Earth and all timelines anywhere in the known universe on any other planet in any other galaxy ever. Infinite energy and information in this huge quantum field that we are all living in. And the important thing to know about the quantum field and why it's so infinite and big is that it includes all, not just things that are real, that we can observe through our physical reality, right? Through our five senses or anything that humans can observe up until this point. It includes literally all possibilities, all potentials, all potential waves and particles of possibilities that ever was, ever will be, and ever is now. So all of these waves of possibility exist in the quantum field. So any thought that you could ever think of, there's the potential for that to exist in the quantum field. That's how things become reality. Somebody one day gets an idea that they want to send a rocket to the moon, but there is no rocket. And so this possibility exists. And as this wave of possibility, right, that's just a possibility, it's just information at this point, once it's observed, it can go from being an invisible possibility to collapsing into potential real 3D physical matter. That's how we get a rocket ship that goes to the moon. That's how we get something like this pen. Thoughts that are just potential waves in an infinite sea of potentiality can become things when observed. And not just observed physically through sight, but observed as thoughts in the mind. So this black universe that we're living in isn't just a void black hole, right? It doesn't just go on endlessly as a void or as nothing. Within this blackness, within this universal entirety of our universe, contains all waves of possibilities. And if we are going back far enough to say who is the creator of all that is. That is what's known as God, or the source, or source energy, or the universe, whatever you want to call it. And God is the creator of every potential possibility that ever was, ever will be, and that ever exists. It's all created because God is the entirety of the entire universe and all potentials that exist. And He has created every possibility to exist. They're all vibrating in a matrix of different potentials and matrix of consciousness that we can't even tap into, just like dogs can only see black and white and humans can see colors, and we can only see a very, very small spectrum of what actually exists in the color spectrum. So even the thoughts that humans can think, and even the things that humans can see and sense through their physical senses, are only a very small, just a fraction of the infinite possibilities that actually exist. Just like dogs can't see the full vast array of colors, doesn't mean that they don't exist just because the dogs can't see them. So these are vibrating potentialities, potential consciousness. They're all floating in the matrix in an infinite array in time and space, right? That's why past, present, and future are all happening now. And so they don't and they can't actually become real until they're observed, right? Through your senses or through your thoughts, right? Through dreams, through accessing some portal into accessing the consciousness that can see or observe the potential. And once it's observed, we can now bring it into full conscious awareness in which we can manipulate it now, and thoughts can actually turn and become things. They can become dense in our 3D reality. Okay, so in order to scientifically elaborate on this further so that we can really see what is science saying about the quantum field. Okay, so in order to scientifically elaborate on this further so that we can really see what is science saying about the quantum field. I'm sure that you all know of the double slit experiment. So if you don't know, the double slit experiment is where atoms or particles that basically were fired at a screen, let's call it, and the people who were doing the experiment put two slits in this screen. Okay, so if something at first that they used, something concrete like marbles, were rolled through these two slits in the screen, then they acted like normal matter that we could observe. And behind the slits in the screen, the marbles or the particles that they fired through these slits in the screen acted as we would expect them to. And they created patterns, like a line that would indicate that they are going in the same direction and that they're following matter. The particles behave differently and they made random patterns. So therefore we could see that light isn't acting as matter, and so it's making different patterns behind these slits. So the observers of this experiment wanted to see what's happening at the point that they're going through the screen. So they put these cameras on the particles as they fired them through the screen, and they watched to see what was going to happen at the point of them passing through the slits. And the craziest thing happened is that when they watched, the particles behaved differently. And now they didn't make these weird random patterns. They acted like matter. They made a line pattern. They acted as if we would expect them to act going through the slits. So this really puzzled the people who were doing the experiment. And this experiment has puzzled the most brilliant scientists, because as they continued their experiments, the results that they ended up figuring out were that the particles acted different depending on who was observing them and what those people expected the particles to do as they passed through the double slits. So in a sense, whatever they were firing through this screen, electrons behaved like waves, possibilities, until they were observed. And when they were observed, then they collapsed into matter, right? They collapsed into particles that had a very specific reality. But that reality was based upon the observation. So this experiment suggests and tells us that your observation of something, meaning your conscious awareness of something, selects a version of reality based on all of the many different possibilities. Meaning your consciousness perceives infinite possibilities. Everything in the field is vibrating. Electrons are acting like waves in the field until observed by you, until observed by your either unconscious or conscious awareness. And it's only at that moment that reality comes into form, that these waves collapse into particles, collapse into atoms, right? Collapse into matter. And when they do, now we observe the reality. So the implications of this experiment truly suggest that you are not living in a fixed world. Reality is not fixed. You're literally observing an infinite sea of possibilities at all times. And remember how great and vast these possibilities can be. And so it's our observation, it's our conscious awareness and our focus and our identity, right? Our self-awareness, our identity that actually collapses our reality into actual form. So matter isn't actually made of matter. Matter is made of energy, right? We started this video by saying that the quantum field is made up of energy and information, an infinite potential or an infinite sea of energy and information. And so when it is shaped by observation, by focus, it becomes or manifests into reality. So how do we apply that to our life if we want to quantum jump and quantum leap into our dream reality? What does all this mean? So in order to do that, let's first talk about who are we? Because now that we understand the quantum field, we really need to understand what makes us, us. So in order to do that, you will know that you have a physical body, a suit. You also have thoughts, right? A working brain. And you have emotions, which are feelings. And we know what's driving all of this is the soul, is the real true observer, which is our conscious awareness that makes us us. We are repetitively being programmed, not in a malicious way, but through life itself, through our experiences and through our thoughts and through our observations and through, anything that we have experienced through our five senses. In every moment of every day, we're making sense of this reality through our senses, through our experiences, through anything that's happened to us in the past. We have this huge mega computer storage database inside us that is collecting all the bits of information as we go through our life. And we are feeding all these little bits of information through our conscious awareness and through our personal identity. So we believe that we're made up of all of these thoughts, feelings, emotions, and experiences that we've had throughout our lifetime. All of that is a combination of what makes up our entire conscious awareness, and that holds us together or holds our identity together, and that's what we call us. That is how we have a sense of our own identity. But the problem is that consciously, we can't take on all of the bits of information coming at us, or we would never be able to live our life. There's just so much bits of data coming at us all the time that forms in our identity that it's really being stored and warehoused and collected and analyzed in what we call the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is running 95% of our life. And this is like the behind the scenes data warehouse center of our being, right? Because we can't consciously be aware of breathing every breath we take or having our heart beat, or we can't be consciously aware of all the bits of stimuli and information that are going on in the world around us at any given time. So it's all put behind the scenes into our subconscious or our unconscious awareness. And this is how we are being programmed. We're being programmed through our experience, through our five senses, through our past, through all the experiences that we've had, and particularly through traumatic experiences or through negative experiences. Because if something passes through and it's benign or it's really good, the brain doesn't think that it needs to mark it, earmark it, make any kind of notations about it. It's just passing through. There's so much passing through, it just allows it to pass through. If something is particularly upsetting or bad or threatens our survival or safety in any way, it's earmarked, it's pronounced, it's watched in the subconscious or unconscious. And these are the repetitive types of things, these trauma or these negative experiences or anything that would threaten our safety, that really get pronounced and brought forward into our conscious awareness so that we can survive, so that these things are brought into our conscious awareness and we're going to take some sort of an action to keep ourselves safe or make sure that they don't happen again. So since our current sense of self and our current reality is largely 95% made up of our subconscious experience or our subconscious or unconscious awareness, it's largely this unconscious or subconscious awareness that's making up the identity of who we believe we are. Our self-identity is largely, 95% not even in our control. It's being made up and shaped and programmed for us at an unconscious level. And this is why it's so hard to change our reality, because we really only have 5% conscious awareness in which we can shape and reshape and reorder who it is that we believe that we are. So it's really important at this point, now that we know what makes us us, that we stop and really identify or take note here that reality, or what we perceive as reality, is simply acting as a mirror, and it's simply feedback. So our external world, and what I mean by that is the life that you are living. If you look around and observe your life, your relationships, your job, your appearance, where you live, what you're doing, if you really observe your reality, you don't really see this. You think everything that you're observing is a real, concrete, tangible thing in reality. But what we don't really stop to understand is that it is an internal reflection of our own self-concept. Reality is simply a mirror, and that's why it never lies. That's why manifestation never fails. That's why reality is simply, it really does act as a mirror. It's whatever is happening on the inside as a self-identity and a self-concept, whatever we're aware of consciously, we are creating. And then reality is simply just mirroring that back to us. It is simply just a feedback reflection. And so if we know this and we understand the double slit experiment and we understand how the quantum field works and we understand what makes us us, then this is how we pull it all together. To change our reality or our perception of reality, we must first change the observer, because reality doesn't become reality until it is first observed. And so we're not just changing the observation of reality, right? We can just change the observation of reality and then reality changes, but we actually want to change the observer of what we're observing. And the observer is you. So since consciousness, which is you, creates reality, and since reality is simply a mirror to what's happening on the internal, then that makes you both the observer and the creator. Now, because you are the observer and you are the creator, you have ultimate power. You are creating everything that exists, and you are observing it, and that observation is now becoming reality. So this feedback loop is so powerful, but mostly it's happening subconsciously, unconsciously. 95% of what's happening is happening unconsciously. So everything that you perceive is first being filtered, and it's being filtered through your emotions, through your beliefs, through your self-identity, right? Through your worldview and your beliefs. And it's also being filtered through your thoughts and through your energy and your emotional frequency. If we think about the observer effect for a moment, we start to understand that you collapse the wave. Think of yourself or your body or like this suit that you're wearing, this human body. Think of it like the device or the instrument. It's literally the measurement device that turns possibility into form. So unconsciously, and everyone does this, you're basically collapsing the same version of yourself over and over in every new moment. And the reason this is happening is because you actually haven't changed who's observing it. So because the observer stays the same, and even though each moment is different and unique, and we have the power to create something new in each moment, if you don't change the observer, which is you, then you are basically going to continue to collapse the same version of reality and over, because reality can't change until it's observed, and the observation can't change until the observer changes. Okay, so let's go back to science again for a minute. Let's go back to quantum physics. Quantum mechanics already confirms the observer's role in the outcome. And we know this through things like the double slit experiment. And then we have other people like Bruce Lipton, and we have the HeartMath Institute, and we have these people doing experiments showing how beliefs affect biology, how the coherence between heart and brain, the most optimal state for change, for actual change. So if we want to rewire our timeline and we want to quantum jump into the dream life that we want for ourselves, then the first and most important step is to rewire your subconscious mind. Now, people are doing a lot of great things to rewire the subconscious mind. They're using visualizations, they're using brain retraining, they are using meditation, they're using repetition practices, and they're using even just presence. And they're combining all of this to change your neural patterns and your neural pathways. And when you combine that with getting the brain into a theta state, like right before you fall asleep or right when you begin to wake up, it's even more powerful. If you want to truly jump into your new dream life, you have to change yourself. You have to change the observer. You have to change your sense of self-identity. And one of the best ways to do that is through meditation and then through repetition and brain retraining practices. So meditation is one of the best practices, and it's an ancient spiritual practice in almost every religion for a reason. When you get quiet and you allow thoughts to come and go and emotions to come and go, and you stay the witnesser or the observer, we begin to step out of the subconscious pattern. And now we're not acting and reacting to these thoughts and emotions and whatever's coming up. We're staying neutral and we're simply observing. We're literally becoming the observer, and we're changing the observation. We're changing how we observe something. So this is the most powerful tool that you can do. And if you practice this on a daily basis, you are going to get good at observing, not reacting or responding to something, but simply staying the neutral observer and observing it. And as we can stay just observing, we allow for all the infinite possibilities of our life to be there without reacting, responding, and grabbing them and collapsing them into form. So we're opening back up the possibilities truly as we meditate. We're taking matter that exists in reality, that exists right now, and we're bringing it back up into the sea of infinite possibilities. So we're almost uncreating reality and allowing everything to come back up into wave form as we simply just stay and watch and observe. And then step number 2, we must now become the version of ourselves that we want to become. So we don't let the subconscious drive how we react, how we respond, and what we turn into reality. We don't let the reality be programmed through our subconscious anymore. We define clearly who the version of ourselves is that we want to be. We see it, we visualize it, we allow it to come into observed form. We sit and visualize and repeat that form in our mind so that now our conscious mind is programming reality and we don't have the unconscious mind doing all of the programming. So this is where practices like brain retraining and visualization and really even affirming and saying things over and over, the repetition, this is how we consciously bring those possibilities that we allow to be there, right? When we get silent and when we get still, we now are bringing the ones that we want. We're focusing in on the possibilities for our life that we actually want and we actually desire, that serve us, rather than letting the unconscious past experiences and survival mechanisms try to run the show. We're consciously now focusing and zeroing in and teaching our brain to think about it, visualize it, repeat it over and over. And when we do that, we start to create, we start to begin to shape a new reality. But it cannot collapse and it cannot become real until we do the third step, which is embodying it. Even though we're observing and we're changing the observer, and even though we're clearly focused in and repeating what it is that we want, the most important and next step is the thing that actually makes the shift. This is the embodiment. This is the part that people have a hard time with. You don't wait for reality to change or to see the evidence before you change. You change your reality by changing yourself, your perception of who you are. You must change that first before you can collapse that into a real reality. Because like I always say, you don't attract what you want and what you desire. You don't even attract what you just focus on continually. You attract who you're being. You attract what you are. Remember, reality is a mirror, and it's simply just the reflection of what and who you believe yourself internally to be. Those are the steps. You rewire your subconscious through meditation. You become the version of you that you want by visualizing and by repeating and by affirming. And then you actually collapse the timeline and create the reality by embodying the change before the change is made manifest, before it's made real. So, in order to do this with your dream life, you need to get very, very specific. What does your dream life actually look like? Not a weird fantasy of your dream life that you actually don't want to live, you just think is pretty cool. That's not what I'm talking about here. What is the dream life that you actually want to live? So get very clear. You might say, oh, I want $1 billion, but you might actually not want $1 billion. That might not be the desire that you actually want. But how much money do you want every month or every year? You need to figure out what that dream life actually really looks like, the one that you truly resonate with. You want to look at your environment. Where do you live? What does it look like in your dream life, right? What does it look like and feel like? What's the environment like in your dream life? Get specific. Then think about your relationships. Who are you spending time with? Who's around you? Who's your partner? How do you interact? How do you interact with your family? How do you interact with your children, with your kids, with your friends? How do these relationships make you feel? Get very specific about what it is that you want in your dream life. And what is your purpose in your dream life? What do you want? What are you doing? What excites you? What fulfills you? Be very specific about what that looks like in your dream life. And health, how do you feel in your body? What is your energy level? What is your sleep like? What does your body look like? How does it feel internally? You want to go through all of these different sectors of your life and really get a clear, very defined vision of what your dream life is like. You need to decide on your dream life, because a lot of times people have a vague dream life. They're like, oh, it could be this or it could be that, or I'd like this and I'd like that. No, you want to decide on your dream life the way you're deciding on your next vacation. You might have a ton of different ideas that would make you happy, but you're not actually going to collapse that into real life until you make a decision on which one it is. Where are you going this time? It doesn't mean you can never visit another dream life another time or go to any other destinations, but you can't be wanting to go to 50 different places. You'll never make a decision. You need to make a decision. This is where I'm going this time. And then you can get very clear and you can look for your best resort in that area or your Airbnb. You can book the plane ticket. So you want to decide on your reality the way you decide on your next vacation, the way you decide on where you're going, as if you're going to book the plane ticket. It needs to be very specific, because you're not going to hope that the plane takes you to your fabulous dream destination. You already have to know where you're going, and then you book the ticket that is going to take you exactly to the destination in your dreams. So now that we've got that out of the way, how do you actually do it? Because I want you not to use this video as theory and just knowing how to do it, but I want you to actually experience doing it. So in order to actually experience it, you have to take an action in your real life. That's how we experience things. We experience things through action, and we experience things through our 5 senses, because that's what it means to be human. So we need to do things like speak like the version of you that lives your dream life. Act like her, talk like her, walk like her, interact with other people like her, get up in the morning like her, do the things that she likes, focus on the things that she wants to focus on, smile the way she would smile, be the way she would actually be. And you have to do it with all your 5 senses: touch, taste, smell. We have to choose as if it's already real in the physical, even though it's just a possibility right now, even though it's just something out there as a possibility. The way we make it real is we focus on it. We know the desire, we harness in on it, exactly what it is. We start to let all of the other possibilities go away and hone in on the one dream life, the one that we see, the vision that we have. And then we can get really specific, right? Then we can actually book that plane ticket. We can actually do the things it takes in the physical reality with and through our five senses, with our actions right here, right now, but from the identity of the person that you actually want to be, from the identity of a new observer. You're changing the observer, you're changing the doer, you're changing the identity. That's what you're changing up here at this level, but you have to come down and actually take action and do it in the 3D. So the quantum field is out there, right? It's all around us. All of the infinite potentialities exist. And we must choose one. We must decide. And then we must focus on it. Bring it to us. And we collapse it when we take action now in the 3D as the new potential, as the new identity. And we do it here and now before it exists. And when the old patterns show up, or the old thoughts show up, or the old emotions show up, we don't react. We use our meditation tools to just simply observe, and then we refocus based on who it is that we now choose to be. And we take action always from that place, from the new observer, from the new reality, from the person who's already changed. And that's how we literally get the world to reshape itself and to become our dream life. Because remember, the dream life isn't out there. The dream life's already here right now, but we're not living it right now. It's not being reflected back to us in the mirror right now, because we first have to observe what it is that we want from a new identity before we can collapse it into being, into actually becoming real for us right here, right now, that we can observe and touch it in our 3D reality. And the thing that makes this tricky is, don't forget, every single person is the creator and the observer. They are creating their own reality in their own lives at the same time. And so they are doing this with themselves, but they're also interacting with you and with your field. And they are simply another way that the mirrors held up to us. They're literally mirrors. They are literally mirrors of our reality. So they're reflecting back to us who we are being, not what we want, but who we are being. They're reflecting back our own beliefs about ourselves to us, our own standards to us. So when we change our belief about ourselves and our own identity, right? When we change our own beliefs, our own identities, these people start to change how they see us and how they interact with us. And they start to reflect back a new relationship with us. They start to reflect back who we actually believe we are inside. So reality, other people, it's all just a mirror reflecting back and giving us feedback to show us, are we actually doing it or aren't we doing it? Because our experience is going to reflect our consciousness inside. So when you truly are embodying your dream life, embodying the dream version of yourself who lives the dream life, reality has to reflect it back to you. The people begin to reflect it back to you. Reality, everything that's happening in the external reflects it back to you. And if it's not, it means you're not actually doing it yet. It's just a feedback loop. It's showing you. You want it, you're trying, but you're not embodying it yet. You're not doing it. Because the second you embody it, reality begins to reflect back and show you now what you're embodying. The world literally must shape and reorganize based on who you believe you are, based on you. When you change the observer, you change the reality. The problem is we have so many subconscious programs running, it is hard to change or make this change all at once. It's incredibly hard. So start with one category, start with one thing. Maybe not the thing that's most important to you in all of the whole world. Start with something that is important to you and that you want in your life. Pick one category: love or health or wealth, finances, relationships, and declare your new identity. Observe what's happening, sit back and observe, and then change the observer. Change yourself. Change how you relate to it. Change what you accept. Change what you allow. Change what you decide, and then change your actions. And really, truly begin to live like it is already done from the new identity of where it's already done, where it's already real and concrete. And I promise you, you are going to start to see the changes being reflected back to you, because when you change, the changes reflect back. It's simple science. So you don't need to earn your dream life. You don't need to wait for your dream life. You don't need to be perfect or try harder for your dream life. You literally just need to decide who it is that you are and be that person now. Life reflects back what you are being every single time without fail. Your dream life will be reflected back to you when you decide you are living your dream life now. When you actually begin to live your dream life will begin to be reflected back to you. You can collapse into it the very second you decide to. And so if you enjoyed today's video, if you got value from it, go ahead and give it a like, hit subscribe. I am sending you all my love, and I will see you in the next video.